tries to understand what kind of level we know and what all we can speak and how much fluent we are in English. And first is the introductory part, in which they ask some introductory questions, and then they give a cue card question in which we have to speak for about 1 to 2 minutes, and there's the counter question which we have to answer regarding the cue card.
And then the second part, there is one more part.
Sorry.
You got a second segment, there is one more segment. There are three segments.
Yeah, there are 3 segments.
So which is the third segment?
The third segment is the counter questions, uh, in which the examiner asks questions about the cue card questions.
And what is the total duration?
The total duration is between 10 to 15 minutes.
Duration of each segment?
No, the total test is about of 10 to 15 minutes.
The duration of each segment?
The first segment is about 4 to 5 minutes, and then the second segment is around 3 minutes, and the last segment can vary up to 5 to 6 minutes.
We add it up, that comes to minimum 13 to 14 minutes.
I cannot hear you.
Okay, if you add that up, it comes to almost 13 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, what is the part one about?
It's about the student, and they ask about the student, and they have to answer about themselves, like what they do, what is their name, and what are their hobbies, etc.
And part two?
Part 2 can be any general question about anything in the world, or about their life, any gifts or anything, just a general topic.
Part three?
Part 3 are the questions all regarding the cue card, like counter questions of that.
Actually, part three and part two have no connection,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Once you finish speaking about, the cue card, examiner will ask you a couple of questions, two or three questions related to cue card.
Okay.
Third one may or may not be connected to cue card. Generally, it is not.
Okay.
It's an open discussion between the examiner and the candidate, and it can be on any topic. Of course, they have a group of topics they cannot choose on their own. But unlike, let's say, part one, where we know, in fact, in part one, the questions are already given to the examiner. They cannot deviate from that. We also know those questions. Normally, cue card also we know because they just keep repeating. Part 3 can be anything, but of course, they have a list from which they will choose, but it can be anything. Normally, part 2 and part 3 have no connection. There will be some supplementary questions on cue card. That's okay. So totally takes around maybe 13 to 15 minutes. Okay. So what exactly you want to learn about this speaking test? Now let me tell you, I'm recording all this. What we'll do is once the session is over, and this automatically gets recorded. I send this thing, recording to you, so you can also review your performance. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so what exactly you want to learn as far as speaking is concerned?
Um, I would like to know how to ask questions and how can we be more fluent and we can do better.
Questions are already there. That's in the book or in the manuals, right? Now, how can we be more fluent?
Yes.
There's only one way. Somebody says, I have 10 years of experience in a particular field. What does this mean?
It means that they are habituated to the work and they are more familiar with it,
How they got habituated?
because they spend a lot of time in this work and they now know how to do it.
That somebody who has, let's say, 1 month experience can also do it. Somebody who has 10
Yeah,
years of experience is more confident
yes.
right? So how has he become more confident?
Because over the year they have got the training and they have seen different students and they have like handled them, and so they know how to work through it.
Now this question wasn't about teacher, it was about any job, any job. Somebody
Okay.
says, I have 10 years experience. So what has he been doing for these 10 years, which has made him confident?
Okay, so if he is working for 10 years, then he has a lot of like experience. He has put his mind through it. He has sorted out all the problems and found solutions, and he has done the research and he has given time in that, so he knows better and
I'll
he
give
is
you one
confident in
very,
his work.
I'll give you a very simple answer. Very simple answer. It is for 10 years he has been repeating the same, right?
Sorry.
Every day he has been doing the same thing. He has been simply repeating.
Yeah.
Repetition gives you confidence.
Oh, yeah.
Without repetition, there is no confidence.
Mm.
Who is your favorite cricketer?
MS Dhoni.
How has MS Dhoni become MS Dhoni?
Of course, by practice and hard work.
And what is practice?
Practice is repeating the things over
Repetition,
and over.
right? Repetition. So anybody who says I am confident about this, actually says I'm repeating this for n number of years or n number of times. If you say you want to become confident, Funda is very simple. You simply have to repeat same thing again and again and again, right? So those who are confident, they simply have been repeating. Those who are not
Okay.
have not been repeating, right? Answers are available. One, but of course, I don't say you pick those answers and mug them up. That's not the way. The idea is very simple. You have the questions, make your own answers, and repeat them mentally. You know what's going to happen? When you repeat them, don't read. एक तो बार पढ़ना पड़ेगा. Write the answers. Now I'll tell you another thing. Now let us say one of the things we say is don't give long answers in the speaking test.
Yeah.
Why we shouldn't give long answer? It's easy, you know. If I can give one answer for 3 minutes, तो काम ही खत्म हो गया.
Uh, but then, if they ask questions related to that and in deeper meaning, and if they don't know, then it will be a tough one.
See what they want to know is आपको आपका hold कितना है language के ऊपर. That can be known
Mhm.
only by asking multiple questions.
Yeah.
And you can give answers only if you have made the answers yourself,
Right.
right? Mugged up answers, they are able to find out. Very easy. It's very easy. When you are speaking, when you are like giving a mugged up answer, see what happens is आपको हमारा जो tone है, volume है, facial expression बदलता नहीं है. We speak in a monotonous language, so it's very easy
Yeah.
for them to find out. If they find out that you are speaking a mugged up question, your score is going to get affected. Now the only way is number one, number two. They want to ask approximately 4 to 5 questions, 3 to 4 minutes. That means none of your answers should exceed around 100 to 150 words. We speak around 150 words in a minute. Now, if you really want to make your name in the field, what you do is very simple. There's a question. You have those questions available in the book or available on the net. Write your answers, each answer approximately 100 words, 100 to 150 words. Your own, not from the book. You can read from the book, that's okay. You actually make your own. Read those. अब वो आंसर्स किसके हैं? They are your answers. आपको कभी प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, right? So if you want to be really good, that instead of you chasing the job should chase you. That's right. So one, make your own answers, repeat them mentally. Don't read mentally. You know, there's something called revision. What is revision? What I'm saying is revise kariye. What is revision?
Revision is going through something again and again,
How?
and
Going
like
through how?
reading and mind mapping types.
Reading को तो there's a prefix called re re prefix है language में. ये क्या कहता है? जिस भी वर्ब के आगे आपने ये लगा दिया, it says repeat. अभी आप कह रहे हैं पढ़िए दोबारा से, सो हो गया रीड. दैट्स नॉट रिपीट, राइट? विजन का मतलब होता है, विजन एक्चुअली मीन्स सोचना. यू गो टू कंपनीज, आई थिंक ये एस्पेक्ट में भी होगा, विजन स्टेटमेंट, मिशन स्टेटमेंट कहीं लिखा होगा. विजन इज सोच. सो रिवीजन इज दोबारा से सोचना, पढ़ना नहीं, राइट? सो यू मेक कपल ऑफ आंसर्स, सिंपली कीप रीडिंग देम इन द माइंड. नाउ यू आर नॉट अ स्टूडेंट नाउ कि मेरे को एक बार एग्जाम देना है उसके बाद में खत्म. You want to teach, that means you have to become absolutely sure and confident. That's possible only when somebody asks you a question on your topic, the answer is on top of your mind. That's possible only when you repeat, and the second part, of course, MS Dhoni has become MS Dhoni. One part repetition, second part is attitude. Okay, second part is attitude, and first part is repetition. You can have excellent, let's say, repetition techniques, but if you don't have attitude, that will not take you very far. So what we'll do is, to start with, I'll show you a video, right, of somebody who scored 9 bands. There's another problem in all this, whether it is writing or whether it is speaking. The faculties keep giving a lot of ideas. Now, what I want you to do is watch this video, and after that, I want you to comment on what is something special about this video, right? Sure. Okay, is the video
Hello, come
visible?
in. Please take a
It's visible, no?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
fine. Study. So that's
Right, let's get started. This is the speaking test of the International English Language Testing System taking place on Saturday the 11th of March at Beacon Centre, centre number BN367. The candidate is Sabrine Valancheri and the candidate number is 0003400. The examiner is Carol Kennedy and the examiner number is 433816. Good afternoon. What is your full name, please? My full name is Sabrine Bellingery. And what should I call you? You can call me Saba. May I see your identification, please, Saba? Yes, here it is. Okay. Thank you. Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about where you live. Where do you live in your country? I live in Hyderabad, which is the capital of Andhra Pradesh, in the southeast of India. It is a very big city. About 7 million people live there. And is it an interesting place to live? Oh yes, a very interesting place to live. Hyderabad has a very long history. So there are lots of ancient forts, mosques and other monuments. There is a very beautiful lake, and there are also lots of wonderful markets. And will you live in Hyderabad in the future? Yes, I think once I finish my studies here, I'll go back to Hyderabad. My husband is from Hyderabad too, so I think we'll stay there. Now let's talk about hobbies and interests. What hobbies and interests are popular in your country? People have many different pastimes in my country. I think the most popular these days are things like gardening and do-it-yourself, which is when people, well, usually men, make things for their home. I think women tend not to have too many hobbies. You can't really call shopping a hobby. I think in the past, women used to fill up the leisure time that they have. You enjoy? Well, like a lot of people, my work takes up a lot of my time. And at the weekend, I like to meet up with my friends or go out with my husband. So I don't really have much time for hobbies. But I do a lot, especially history and biography. Also, I love collecting art, go out with my husband. So I don't really have much time for hobbies. But I do read a lot, especially history and biography. Also, I love collecting art, so I go to a lot of art fairs. I really like colorful, abstract art, which really brighten up our homes. And what hobbies and interests did you have as a child? Gosh, that was a long time ago. Let me think. I used to collect gearings. I think I had about 20 or 25. They were silly things, really, but fun for a small child. I used to like painting and drawing. My parents were very supportive and they bought me a lot of oil paints, but I'm not really very talented. I also played the clarinet. I was in a junior orchestra. I remember once we played a concert and my reed broke during the first piece, and so I couldn't make any sound. And do you think parents should encourage their children to have a hobby or interest? Oh yes, very much so. I think it is very important for children to have something other than school, television and computers. Sometimes a hobby can turn into a very successful career, but even if it doesn't, it can help the child develop as a person as they learn about new things and meet new people who share the same hobby. Now let's move on to talk about the weather. Do you prefer hot weather or cold? I think I prefer cold weather. I know most people prefer hot weather, but it is always so hot in my country that it is a nice change to feel the cold. Of course, in the cold, it's very easy to put on a hat and gloves to keep ourselves warm. Tell me about the weather in your country at different times of year. India is so big that there are many different climates. So I'll just talk about the weather in Hyderabad. Generally, we have a tropical wet and dry climate. That means that the summers, March to June, are hot, over 30 degrees and very humid. Sometimes it can reach over 40, which is just unbearable. At the end of the summer, the monsoon comes and it rains for about 3 months. After the rainy season, it's winter, which is quite short, just a couple of months. Which time of year did you enjoy most as a child? Well, I think like most children, I would say the summer, when we had the long school holiday. But I always preferred spring. There's something so lovely about when everything starts to grow again after the winter. You can almost smell it in the air. And has the weather changed much in your country in recent years? I don't think so, really. I know that in some countries the climate has been changing because of global warming, but where I live it seems to be the same. Just heat and rain. I have noticed something. Uh, in recent summers, when it's very hot, there have been many water shortages. I don't remember that happening when I was younger. Thank you. Now I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. You have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand? Yes. There's your paper and pencil. And here's your topic. I'd like you to describe a gift or present that somebody gave you recently. Okay. Now you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll let you know when the time is up. Could you start speaking now, please? I'm going to talk about a present my husband gave me last year for my birthday. We had gone to Istanbul for a few days. My husband had always wanted to go there. Anyway, we had a few days holiday from work and we decided to fulfill my husband's dream. As I said earlier, I'm really interested in art. And so even though I had no real desire to go to Istanbul, I was totally captivated by all the beautiful buildings and the wonderful arts and crafts that were available there. The Blue Mosque was my favorite building. From the outside, it looks just like a typical Ottoman mosque, but inside it is quite startling. The large windows with the light reflecting on the exquisite blue tiles made it just breathtaking. I asked one of the guides about the tiles, and she told me that they were from Iznik and that they are still made today. When we left the Blue Mosque, we walked down a pedestrian lane full of shops, including some tile shops. In one of the shops, the owner told us that the tiles were made in Iznik. Anyway, one of the tiles really caught my eye. Actually, it sang to me. It was of fish, 4 big fish, and lots of little ones, all in different shades of green. I really, really wanted it. But when we asked the price, it was very high. Something like 300 American dollars. Obviously, I knew we could negotiate, but it seemed such a high price that we just left. The next night, we went out for my birthday meal. Just as we were finishing the dessert, the waiter came over and handed me the most beautifully wrapped gift. I knew at once, because it was very heavy, that it was the fish tile. That's why
Thank you.
I think we also stop there. Now, so what's your What are your comments about what you heard?
Okay, so she was very natural,
Hmm.
and it didn't seem like that English is not her native language. And she just went with the flow, and she was very fluent too.
Yeah, of course. That she said she is from Hyderabad,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Now you have, undergone this coaching also.
Yes.
Between coaching and this, what was the difference?
So
The way they tell
we are
you
not.
in the classroom that
Mhm.
speaking के लिए you have to do this, ऐसा करिए, ऐसा करिए. Between that and this, what was the difference?
The difference was just that we don't have to put so many rules in our mind, and we just have to be natural.
This, okay, I made some. Yes. What I'll do, I think we may have to log in again. So what I'll do is we'll stop this here, and now I'll share with you a PPT.
Okay.
Is the PPT visible?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What is the topic?
10 don'ts during IELTS speaking test.
10 don'ts, right? I'm not going to say do this, do this, do this. What we'll say is don't do this. Okay? So what you think you should not do? Now remember, you are not a student now, you are a teacher, right? So as a teacher, what you should tell your students, don't do this, right? Now if you want, you can make some notes because on this slide there will be a point and then we'll be discussing that point, what is meant by that point. What does it say?
It's not visible.
Slide is not visible?
Oh no, it's just blank.
Oh,
Okay.
visible now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what does it say?
It is always better to attempt an answer than simply say nothing.
So what is the benefit?
Uh, at least we say something, then they might ask few more questions, and then we might be able to answer that, and then the score won't go much down.
Right? So there are some students who, when they ask the question, actually become quiet. उनके उनके पास कोई जवाब नहीं है. So what it says that say something. No, I mean you may not have the answer to subsequent question also, but still say something. When you don't say anything, what will be your score?
It would go down.
For that question, the score will be zero,
Right. Yeah.
right? Saying something will get you something. So one, this actually ये अंदर जाके repeat होने वाला है. So in any IELTS or TOEFL or PT question, when you are asked a question, don't keep quiet. Say something. But of course, say something related to the question. Now 10 rules. First, what does this say? What is written on this slide?
It is always better to attempt an answer than simply say
No,
nothing.
now the slide has changed.
It has not changed here.
Is it? Something is wrong.
Maybe network issues, I think.
It doesn't happen with me. Anyway, Now, आएगा, but I'll tell you what the second slide says. It says, don't worry about the examiner's opinion. You have a pen and pencil with you?
Yes, yes, I.
Write it. Don't worry about the examiner's opinion.
Yeah.
So, what does this mean?
It means that we should not consider what the examiner is saying us, and we should be more like just give the answer
Uh,
what we think.
we have to improve on this slightly. You know, like in the class, when you were a student, many students will say, "Madam, ये answer अच्छा है क्या? If I give this answer, is it good or I can improve on this answer? इसके बदले अगर मैं ये वाला आंसर दूं तो कैसा रहेगा?" Many students ask this question. Is this opinion good or is this opinion is better than this? If I give this opinion, will I get better score? Many students have this worry, no?
Hmm.
Right?
Right.
Now remember, examiner is not concerned with your opinion.
Right.
उनका एक ही काम है. Their job is only one and one. When you start speaking on something, how do you support that? Their personal opinion can be exactly opposite of that. That's not your problem. So when they say don't worry about examiner's opinion, don't think suppose I give this answer, will the examiner like it? Liking and disliking is not part of the evaluation. Evaluation is very clear on four parameters and it is very simple. How do you support the point which you have started? Their job is only to check that. Their personal opinion can be exactly opposite of what you're saying. That's not your worry. It should not worry you. So one, first, don't worry about examiner's opinion because whether it is writing or reading, the right opinion is your opinion and nobody else. When you're writing, what you write is right. The only thing they'll check is how do you support it. So same thing you have to tell the students. They don't have to worry about whether examiner will like it. Is it good or it can be improved opinion. It is not opinion. It is how it is expressed. So they check only that first. Don't worry about the examiner opinion. Next. Even now the slide is not visible. Okay. Anyway, now it says don't insert too many big words. In any case, because this is being recorded, so you will get it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't insert too many big words. So इसको भी लिख लिया. Number two. Right?
Yeah.
So what does this mean?
It means that only a big word in one or two sentences is enough. We should not be using more and more big words, and that it will just sound absurd.
आपके क्लासेस में बहुत सारे फैकल्टीज ये एडवाइस देते हैं फॉर राइटिंग एंड स्पीकिंग यूज बिग हैवी वर्ड्स दे विल गेट यू better score. No, they don't. One thing is very clear. See, I have a certain level of language. Big words means they're beyond my knowledge, beyond my capacity. So most of the time I'll be using them wrongly. This is precisely what happens. The requirement is not using big words. The requirement is, especially in speaking, use common everyday words which everybody can understand. Now, we saw that video clip, two parts.
Yeah.
Did you hear even one big word in that clip?
No.
No. And it is written there that was band 9 speaking test. Band 9.
Right.
Not even one big word. Don't use it. It's beyond us. You are not even expected. Yes, we have what is called informal language and we have what is called formal language. We have what is called informal language and we have what is called academic language.
Mm.
Use academic language, but don't use big words which neither I nor the listener understand. It will confuse. You will end up committing mistakes.
Mm.
Mistakes की penalty है. आपने कॉमन एवरीडे वर्ड यूज किया एंड अच्छी तरह से एक्सप्रेस कर दिया उसका कोई पेनल्टी नहीं. Whether it is speaking or writing, avoid this usage of big words. If you can browse internet पे जाके search band 9 essays and see those band 9 essays how many big words have been used. There will be not even one. Right? It gives you more confidence, more fluency. Don't insert too many big words. Third, don't show off your grammar. अभी भी वो स्लाइड फर्स्ट पर ही अटका हुआ है.
हाँ.
Anyway, you'll get it. So don't show off your grammar.
Mm.
What does it mean?
Just we have to use the accurate grammar.
Well, now ये जितना भी है तो लिखा don't do this. ये 10 don'ts हैं, do's नहीं है. So what is don't show off your grammar? ऐसा मत करो. Show off का मतलब क्या होता है?
Just about something type.
दिखाओ.
दिखाओ. हाँ.
दिखावा करो, right?
Mm. Mm.
He's a big show off का मतलब वो बहुत दिखावा करता है.
Mm.
So अपनी ग्रामर मत दिखाओ. बट सारे तो बोलते हैं ग्रामर सही होना चाहिए, ग्रामर सही होना चाहिए, ग्रामर सही होना चाहिए. एंड यहाँ तो बोलता है ग्रामर मत दिखाओ. Right?
Mm.
See, there's a difference between writing written language and spoken language. We have to understand that very carefully. Difference between written language and spoken language. Nobody in the world can speak 100% can speak बोलो 100% grammatically correct language. Nobody can speak.
Mm.
So if your focus is on speaking grammatically correct language, तो आपका ध्यान कहाँ जाएगा? You'll be stuck on grammar rather than on the answer, right? Even examiner is not concerned about how much accurate you are grammatically in speaking. I'm saying in speaking, not in writing. Even they are not much concerned about how much right you are grammatically while speaking. All they want to check is the message of your talk coming through. You make occasional grammatical mistake, that's okay. We all do that. जिसने इंग्लिश की 10 पीएचडी कर रखी हैं वो भी हमेशा ग्रामर में कभी कभी गलत बोलता है. एंड हमारा तो ग्रामर के ऊपर हमारा हाथ तो पता ही आपको तंग ही होता है इंडिया में तो. So the focus should be on giving answer and speaking and not grammar. ये आपका मुंह बंद करवा दे. Okay, third, don't show off your grammar. Focus on giving answer, not on grammar. And ये क्या है? This says don't say nothing. It's same as what we had seen on the first slide. Don't say nothing means give some answer. Don't keep quiet.
Mm.
कुछ तो बोलिए. Saying two sentences is better than not saying anything. Two sentences will get you something. Not saying anything will get you nothing. As simple as that. The examiner only wants to see whether you are able to give answer to the questions they are asking. Some answer at least. कुछ बोलोगे तो कुछ तो मिलेगा. So don't keep quiet. Give some answer, but the answer should be related to the question, because one of the things that they are checking is your answer related to the question. That's a parameter for checking. Now, in this part one, if you don't understand a question, the examiner will not explain you the question. Part one, they will not explain. But in part two and part three, if you don't understand something, you can ask and they'll not give you exact answer, but they'll give you some, they'll try to explain something. In part one, no. Part two and part three. Why people don't ask, give answer? Because they not understood the question. If you have not asked, part one, they'll not explain. Part two and part three, they'll explain. Another thing why people don't are not able to give answer is because they have nothing to say, lack of general knowledge.
Right.
More general knowledge you have, more easy you will find to respond to speaking and writing task both. Okay. IELTS का फंडा बड़ा सिंपल है. IELTS और TOEFL की Duolingo, they say we will ask you the questions on topics which a normal college going student should know. Rocket science नहीं पूछेंगे, but a common college going student should know. Common everyday topics. So don't say nothing, no. Say something. ये क्या है? This is don't prioritize grammar over fluency. लिख ले, don't prioritize grammar over fluency. इसके पहले भी यही गया था. It was don't show off your grammar, don't get hung up on the grammar. What they want to check is how fluent you are in giving answers. They are not much concerned about grammar in speaking. I'm repeating again, grammar in speaking, but not in writing. Writing is different. So, if you have to choose between giving grammatically correct answer or speaking continuously, fluently, choose speaking fluently. Don't worry much about grammar. And in any case, if you have done enough practice, you will be fluent and grammatically correct both. The problem is, the real issue is how much practice you are putting. Then ये एक बहुत बड़ा इशू रहता है. This is don't worry about accent. There's a big problem, especially in India. Don't worry about your accent. Should we really not worry about an accent, or we should worry about accent? What's your
No, we
opinion?
should not. I don't think we should worry about accent
Are
because
you,
uh, because we have our native tongue, and if we are speaking in different accent, then it's not really worryful.
the issue is very simple. Now, आपके what is your mother tongue?
Gujarati.
गुजराती. I think गुजराती की अपनी 10 accents हैं,
Right,
है ना?
right,
अलग अलग रीजन में अलग अलग तरह से गुजराती बोली जाती है. And when you listen to somebody's Gujarati, you can find out, you can tell from which region this person is, right?
right, right.
All the languages, all the mother tongues have their influence on the second language.
Right.
जब एक मलयाली हिंदी बोलता है तो पता लग जाता है ये मलयाली है, तमिल वाला बोलता है तो मालूम हो जाता है ये तमिलियन है. Mother tongue will have its influence on the accent.
Mm.
Don't worry about it. Nobody is checking your accent. Number one. In any case, वो English ही 10 का ना. You know आपका हमारा ये जो स्टेट गुजरात है, it is bigger than England. You know that UK is smaller
Uh,
than Gujarat.
oh.
पर UK में ही 4-5 तरह की इंग्लिश बोली जाती है. And accent is different.
Right.
अमेरिका में accents are different. Issue is not accent. Issue is what you speak should be understandable to the listener. That's all.
Yeah.
Don't worry. If you start worrying about accent, तो क्या होगा? ना आप इधर के रहोगे ना उधर के रहोगे. And ये आया कहाँ से? ये कॉल सेंटर वालों ने स्टार्ट किया था.
Mm.
When initially call centers came, कस्टमर तो अमेरिका में है, but फोन कॉल तो इंडिया से जा रहा है.
Mm.
And these local people have their own accent. Indians का accent है. Americans want to speak to an American only. And how do you know whether they are speaking to American? Accent बता देता है. So they were trained. ये जो call center में काम करते हैं, initially they were trained to speak like somebody says, okay, आपको अमेरिका में बात करनी है. Somebody बोलेंगे आपको यूके में बात करनी है. Somebody से आपको ऑस्ट्रेलिया में बात करनी है. तो उस कंट्री की एक्सेंट के लिए उनको ट्रेन किया जाता था. ये वहां से स्टार्ट हुआ एक्सेंट. Don't worry, what you say should be understandable to the listener. Every mother tongue has its influence on the language. Don't worry about it. So, same things you have to tell your students. वो उनका सवाल आएगा, मेरी तो accent गुजराती है. Be proud of your, Gujarati. A German doesn't worry about, like American accent.
Mm-hmm.
A Frenchman doesn't worry about American accent. Russian
Right.
doesn't worry. Chinese wala doesn't worry. So why should we worry?
Exactly.
They don't worry about it. They say if you don't, another thing that is very clear, if the other person has not understood. See, I'm not a teacher. Basically, I'm a high level corporate trainer. So we do a lot of training programs in companies on communication skill वगैरह. Speaking is communication. When I'm saying something, when I'm speaking something, मेरा काम क्या है? बोलना. समझना किसका काम है?
Some.
समझना किसका, जो मैंने बोला वो समझना किसका काम है?
सामने वाले का.
एंड सामने वाले की समझ में नहीं आया तो बताना किसका काम है?
कोई समझना चाहिए ना.
नो नो, जो मैंने बोला आप यू राइट, उसको समझने का ड्यूटी सुनने वाले का है. एंड अगर सुनने वाले को मेरी बात समझ में नहीं आई तो ये बताना किसका काम है कि मेरी बात समझ में नहीं आई?
खुद को बताना चाहिए, मतलब बोलने वाले को समझाना चाहिए.
दैट्स राइट, बोलने वाले को बोलना चाहिए. और अगर बोलने वाला ये नहीं बोल रहा कि मेरी बात उसकी समझ में नहीं आई, तो आप मान के चलो आपकी बात उसकी समझ में आ गई. सो डोंट बी नर्वस अबाउट, वरीड अबाउट दिस. मेरी बात समझ में आएगी कि नहीं आएगी. कम्युनिकेशन इज वेरी सिंपल. मेरा काम समझाना है, समझना सुनने वाले का काम है. और उसकी समझ में नहीं आया तो ये बताना उसका काम है, मेरा काम नहीं है. There is no way in the world by which I can know whether what I'm saying has been understood by the listener till listener says so. तो एग्जामिनर को अगर आपकी बात समझ में नहीं आएगी तो वो पूछेंगे आपसे दोबारा से बताइए. राइट. सो डोंट वरी अबाउट एक्सेंट पार्ट. इसकी कोई जरूरत नहीं है. बट यस, स्पीक ऑडिबली. प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है? When we start speaking, two common problems. Most of us actually, by the time we come to the end of the sentence, हमारा वॉल्यूम बहुत डाउन हो जाता है. It becomes slightly difficult to understand the last words of our sentences. And कई बार तो हम last words को खा ही जाते हैं, बोलते ही नहीं है. Take care of these two things. Speak complete sentences in a way that they are audible to the listener and don't need to end up the sentences.
Okay.
Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about accent. Worry about only two things. One, fluency. Second, focus. Focus on the topic, speak fluently. Grammar be damned. That's not my concern. Right? Of course, स्पीकिंग में ग्रामर का एक चीज मेरे को ध्यान में रखनी पड़े वो क्या है what this says don't get seventh is don't get too nervous इसका क्या प्रॉब्लम होगा if you get too nervous
Then we will start fumbling and we won't be much clear about our answers and we won't be able to think better.
now will you be now see will you be able to speak better if you are confident or if you are nervous
Of course, we'll be able to speak better if are confident.
now confidence can be developed externally.
Sorry?
Confidence can be developed externally. वैसे तो कॉन्फिडेंस
Yeah.
इंटरनल है but you can also develop it externally for a very short
Yes.
period of time.
Right.
Two ways. Most of the students when they enter the examination room उनके माइंड में क्या होता है पता नहीं क्या होगा पता नहीं क्या होगा
The-
राइट यही होता है ना
right.
टेस्ट कैसा होगा अच्छा होगा कि खराब होगा
Hmm.
with this mental frame they enter the examination room. There's something called visualization. Visualization. Suna hai naam?
So that's-
What is visualization?
Visualization is uh, having pictures in our mind and thinking what would happen and see all different kinds of possibilities.
Visualization actually is visualizing the end result that you want. Why this is? So, what is the end result that you want? Is it visible
Of
now?
course, we would. No, not yet.
Okay. So, the end result that you want is good score.
Yes.
You will get good score only if you are confident. If you enter the examination room with this thought that today I'm going to do extremely well in the exam
Mm.
and I've prepared myself well, and there are some body languages if you adopt, you will automatically start feeling confident, right? So if you are feeling nervous, you will actually start getting more and more nervous. Okay. There is a problem in the screen sharing. It every time it is coming, screen sharing is paused. And
Mm.
then don't be late. Obviously, it's common sense. They give you time.
Yeah.
If you're late, now two problems. If you're late, it's not that they're not, give you the test. They'll still give you the test. But what's going to happen? Person who is late will be nervous,
Mm.
right? And if you're nervous, what will be the outcome? Poor,
Right.
right? But don't be half an hour early also, 5 to 10 minutes early, that's good enough. But don't be late. This will make you nervous and that will affect your performance. Don't rely on the examiner. Examiner is not going to help you in part one.
Mm.
If you don't know, if you don't understand anything in part one, they will not help you at all. In part two and part three, they'll they'll simply explain slightly some word, some word, but they'll not explain the whole question, right? So it's your job to understand what the question demands and give the answer. Examiners are not going to help you. They'll not explain to you, a question ये है, this is the question, and maybe you can try like this, try like this. No, they're not. They are not because whether they have done, whether they have followed protocol of the test or not, you know, your test is recorded. आपको मालूम है ना ये? आपका टेस्ट रिकॉर्ड किया जाता है. Of course, I think there's no video recording, there's audio recording. All written tests are recorded. And I think, I'm not sure, they are perhaps checked by some, and ये जो आपका स्कोरिंग है, ये I think जिस एग्जामिनर ने एग्जाम लिया वो स्कोर नहीं करता, somebody else will score it.
Yeah, right.
Don't, eh? Don't memorize answers. क्या होगा? What is the examiner supposed to check?
Of how much hold we have on the language,
Yeah,
and if we mug up the answers, then our tone will be monotonous,
yeah.
and it will be very unnatural. So they will know that something is wrong, and they will not give score properly.
They know the answer is bugged up. Your facial expressions, your tone, volume, pace, वो
Right.
सब बता देती है वो. It discloses everything, whether it is mugged up or natural. Mugged up answers, you're out. Don't memorize answers. They are not, no, they are not again, like, let's be very clear. They're not looking at accuracy, that what you say should be 100% accurate. What you say should be 100% grammatically correct. No, they're not looking at that. They simply are looking at how do you support what you are saying. You have started with a viewpoint. How do you support that? There's something called coherence and cohesion. ये
Yeah.
आपको बताया गया होगा. So then there's fluency, then there's word choice and all that. Basically, coherence and cohesion means what we say is very simple. My sentence number one is foundation for sentence number two. Sentence number two is foundation for sentence number three.
Right.
That is, and then this whole answer or whole paragraph is focused on one particular idea. That is on coherence and cohesion. Cohesion is all the sentences जुड़े हुए हैं आपस में. Coherence is everything actually answers just one question. Right? So, and another thing which is not there. Okay, you have any question?
No.
Now there is one thing which you have to keep in mind, and that is, ये इसमें नहीं दूसरे slides में है. What was said? Don't pay much attention to your grammar. Whether your answer is grammatically right or wrong, don't worry too much about that. But there's one thing you have to worry about, and that is pay attention to grammar of the examiner. Pay attention to grammar of the examiner. Why so? Why so?
Because we should know what tense they are asking questions, and we have to answer in that tense only.
Yeah, that's right. The answer has to be in same tense as a question. Now it's very simple. Suppose when I change tense, the whole meaning changes. Suppose the question is, where do you stay? Where do you stay? Right? Now this question can have two answers. One answer is I stay in Baroda. I stay in Baroda. Second answer can be I'm staying in Baroda. Right? What is the difference between these two answers?
First one says the present time, that I am staying in Baroda right now.
And
And
then,
I will stay in
no,
Baroda means that afterwards, later I will stay
no,
in
no.
Baroda.
I will to
It's
use
future
in again.
tense.
I will to use in again. One is I stay in Baroda
Huh.
and I'm staying in Baroda.
Okay, I am. Okay. So the first one is simple present. Like it's okay, it is in the present. And I am staying means like right now I am staying in the continuous tense.
टेंस तो दोनों प्रेजेंट में है ना.
हाँ, वो फर्स्ट वाला सिंपल प्रेजेंट और ये प्रेजेंट कंटिन्यूअस.
Now, another thing, we must know something, and that is the usage of the language and not the grammar. The difference is, of course, the grammatical construction has given it different meaning. हालांकि both are grammatically correct. Say when I change the tense, the meaning बदल जाता है. Now, let's take this. Where do you stay? One answer is I stay in Baroda. That means I'm a permanent resident of Baroda, and that is what the question is about. Where do you stay in means of which place you are a permanent resident. Somebody may have come to Baroda to take the test, but he stays in Rajkot permanently, right? So, for this person, I stay in Rajkot, that's my permanent place of residence, and I'm staying in Baroda means I'm a temporary resident of Baroda.
Right.
Grammatically, both are right, but the answer to where you stay is only one, that is I stay in. So, same way, the question is formed in one tense. If I give answer in some other tense, grammatically that answer is right, but uska meaning kuch aur hota hai. So we say instead of paying, don't pay much attention to your grammar, but pay attention to grammar of the examiner. Because if you use some other grammar structure, the structure will be right, but meaning will be different. Right?
Right.
So you want to add something और कुछ जानना चाहते हैं, पूछना चाहते हैं?
नहीं, अभी तो कुछ नहीं है.
ये तो कुछ नहीं. Right, so what you can do is think about it, what we have done, gone through. Now, because you have already taken the test, so I don't have to, show you part one क्या होता है, part two क्या होता है, part three क्या होता है. That's
Yeah, yeah.
those you know. So we don't have to go through that. But main thing is very simple in terms of teaching the students. The main important thing is be natural.
Okay. Right.
Don't worry too much about speaking grammatically correct language. It's not possible. Requirement is only one. Be fluent and don't keep quiet.
Okay.
Don't,
Right.
don't enter the examination room with nervous mind frame. It will make you more nervous. The answer should be in the same tense in which a question has been asked. Take care of these couple of things
Yeah, sure.
and you will do well. If you explain this to your students, you will become a good teacher. And if your students follow these advices, then score well. Right? Should we call it a day here?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you very much.
how was the session?
Uh, Very informative.
So this session has been recorded. So whatever PPTs you could not see, they'll be there in the recording, and I'll share
Yeah.
that with in your this thing office with Mr. Akash, and then you
Yeah,
can take it from him. Maybe today or tomorrow he'll get the recording, right?
yeah, sure.
We never had this problem, but today I don't know what was the problem. Anyway, thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.